I want to talk to you about your future because, we're all sitting here in the now. And one thing for sure, time is driving us on and on into the future. And I have a lot of perspective into what your future might be. Now, how can I say that? Well, it's because for 2 decades now, we have worked with people as they entered into retirement and watched them move through retirement in the years after that. And we've seen not only what happened to them, but because we have insight into their income and investments and their health and their family, we've seen why it happened. So let me give you some perspective on what your future might be. Now, what we would all like to have happen is we would all like to have what I might call the best possible retirement, your best retirement. Based on what you have now and such, moving into it, we want to get the most out of it. I'll give you a simple example. A lot of people like to travel. And, if you're going to fly to California or Australia or, France or South Africa, it's really nice to fly first class. You walk on, they give you or business class, they walk on, they give you a glass of champagne, a bowl of nuts, and you sit down and you're just thinking how great this trip is going to be. Now, maybe you don't manage to get everything, you manage things in the best possible fashion, but you still end up with what I might call a fine retirement. Yeah, you're still flying and, taking trips and visiting the kids and the grandkids, but you're flying coach. You're walking past all those people with champagne, no hot nuts for you. So, but still, again, it's a fine retirement. Now, let's say you don't even quite manage things as well as you could, and instead you end up with what we'll call an okay retirement. If you watch your budget and be careful, you'll live comfortably. You're probably not traveling that much and maybe not seeing and spoiling the grandkids as much as you like, but you're still eating 3 square meals a day. And although you're probably cutting a lot of coupons to make them as good as you can. Then, if you really let things go wrong, you'll have let me be frank, what I will call a bad retirement. In this case, you're in trouble. You probably living off Social Security, not much more, and you're thinking, do I need to call the kids for money or do I need to move into the kids? So there's a spectrum of retirement outcomes that you may have. There's also something, wherever you are, there are forces that are trying to drive you down, things in the future that are going to try to reduce, drop you to a lower line. Well, let's take a look at some examples. One is taxes. The tax code is written in pencil. It's ever changing. You've got to be ready to change with it. Most people enter retirement with lots of IRAs, 401k, money that will be taxed sometime in the future. And if you don't do this, take advantage of strategies to reduce the tax you're going to pay, you're not going to be able to stay on that dark green line. Another one is risk, investments. That can mess up your future. And there's also things like health, long-term care, and things like that can affect you. In fact, risk is an interesting one because back here when you're working, it was a little different than when you were moved into, actually it was a lot different than when you move into retirement. Let me give you an example. You've all heard the term ROI. You've probably heard the term ROI. What does that stand for? Well, most people would say, David, that stands for return on investment. And while you were back here working, that's true. You were trying to grow your nest egg and you worried about ROI. But now, once you enter this retirement world, instead of return on investment, it stands for reliability of income. You know, in fact, I'll give you an example. I'll give you, and in all the years I worked, this is probably the worst example I know of somebody who fell the fastest and the furthest at once. And it goes back about 10 years. So it's, I think, about 2010. A couple came right into this very office. We sat here and I got to know their story. And they had retired about 5 years before that, 2005 or so. And when they retired, they had $2 million in their nest egg. And they took that $2 million and they broke it in half and they invested it, each half, in 2 different shopping malls. You know, and you know, kind of a real estate investment trust kind of investment. And each of these investments were paying them 8% on that money. So they had $160,000 coming in a year from this investment, plus Social Security. They're feeling good. They're on this dark green line. Well, then 2008 came along. Do you remember 2008? You know, when the market crashed and the economy went down, and that's when many malls, most malls, really got into trouble. I know our local mall, it used to be, you'd go in there, there'd be nice upscale stores. It was a real vibrant place to go. And in 2008 and 9, all of a sudden you go in there and a lot of the stores are empty. And then they start filling up those spaces with things like tattoo parlors. Well, guess what? When a shopping mall goes bankrupt, guess who's left holding the bag? Yeah, the people with those high-paying, you know, real estate investments. This couple lost the entire $2 million and all the income associated. They were down here with Social Security alone, and there was nothing we could do for them. So like I say, now, alternatively, you might ask, well, what does it take to get up on this line? And even more importantly, stay on this line in the years to come. And you have to do a lot of steps, first to get there, but also to stay there. We have 9 different things, we call them accelerators, that we do to get people on that line and keep people on that line. Another thing that's worth thinking about is, you know, right now, for most, these lines are closer together for you than they've ever been. So if you're trying to get up to this dark green line, there's going to never be a better time than now. If you wait until you fall into further, it's real hard to get from here to here. Right now, it's as easy as it's ever going to be. So you don't really want to wait to make this change. And one other thing you may want to do is say, hey, I'm going to put a floor in here so that no matter what happens, I know I'll never fall below that line. I'll always have at least that much. So these are some info, some concepts to show you what your future may look like, what you need to do to get your best retirement. And if you'd like to see, can we help you with your retirement? Can we help you get up to that solid green line? Just click on the Start Here button and it'll take you to a page where you can learn more. I hope this was helpful, and we will talk to you later.